Close your eyes. Inhale deeply. Now imagine you can't expand your chest fully. You're upside down in complete darkness. You can't move. This is what John Edward Jones experienced for 27 hours in Nutty Putty Cave. In this video, we'll take you into the heart of one of caving's most notorious tragedies, exploring the fine line between adventure and disaster. On November 24, 2009, John Edward Jones arrived at the entrance of Nutty Putty Cave with his family, eager to embark on a Thanksgiving week adventure. The cave, located southwest of Utah Lake, had been a popular destination for spelunkers since its discovery in 1960. John, an experienced caver and medical student, felt confident as he prepared to navigate the challenging underground labyrinth. Nutty Putty Cave's layout was complex, featuring a series of narrow passages and tight squeezes. The main entrance led to a vertical drop, followed by a network of twisting tunnels. Some sections, like the infamous birth canal, required cavers to crawl on their stomachs through openings barely wider than their bodies. Despite its difficulties, the cave's unique formations and the thrill of exploration drew adventurers from across the region. As the group entered the cave, John's excitement was palpable. He had grown up caving with his father and had explored Nutty Putty before. The familiar smell of damp earth and the cool air against his skin brought back memories of past expeditions. John led the way, his headlamp illuminating the rocky terrain ahead. After navigating through several chambers, John decided to separate from the group to explore a more challenging section. He was drawn to a narrow passage he believed might lead to the birth canal. As he squeezed through the tight opening, John felt the rush of adrenaline that came with pushing his limits. The passage John entered was actually an unmapped section of the cave. As he inched forward, the space around him grew increasingly constricted. The limestone walls, formed over millions of years by water erosion, created a maze-like environment where wrong turns could lead to dangerous dead ends. John's decision to continue was influenced by his past experiences and the belief that he could navigate any tight spot. He reasoned that if he could just push a little further, the passage might open up into a larger chamber. With each movement, he carefully assessed the space around him, using his caving skills to maneuver through the narrowing tunnel. As John pressed on, the reality of his situation began to set in. The passage didn't widen as he had hoped. Instead, it became even tighter, forcing him to exhale deeply just to inch forward. The rough limestone scraped against his clothes, and the weight of the rock pressed down on him from all sides. Suddenly, John realized he had made a critical error. He was now wedged in a crevice barely larger than his body, his arms pinned against his chest. The space was so tight that he couldn't even turn his head fully. Panic began to set in as he understood the gravity of his predicament. John found himself trapped in a fissure measuring just 10 by 18 inches, about 400 feet from the cave's entrance. He was stuck at an angle with his head lower than his feet, unable to move more than a few inches in any direction. The once exciting adventure had turned into a desperate fight for survival. As the reality of his situation sank in, John's thoughts turned to his family waiting above and the rescue that would soon be necessary. The clock was ticking, and every minute trapped in this precarious position increased the danger. Little did John know that his ordeal was just beginning, and that a complex and harrowing rescue operation was about to unfold. As John's family waited anxiously above ground, a team of rescuers descended into Nutty Putty Cave. But what they found would push the limits of even the most experienced cave rescue experts. How do you save a man trapped upside down in a space barely larger than his body? The rescue operation began with a sense of urgency as the team assessed the situation. The cave's layout presented immediate challenges. Extremely tight passages limited the number of rescuers who could work simultaneously. Only smaller, wiry individuals could effectively navigate the narrow sections to reach John, slowing their progress and complicating the extraction efforts. As hours ticked by, the physical and psychological toll on John intensified. Initially calm and lucid, he began to experience the devastating effects of being trapped upside down. His body, not designed for prolonged inversion, struggled against gravity. Fluid started to build up in his lungs, and circulation became increasingly compromised. John's mental state deteriorated alongside his physical condition, progressing from composed responses to helpless thrashing and hallucinations. Communication became crucial in this race against time. Rescuers utilized a wired telecom system to maintain contact with John, allowing his wife to offer words of encouragement. Her voice provided a lifeline of emotional support, urging him to hold on. But as time progressed, John's responses grew fainter, heightening the rescuers' concern. The team employed specialized equipment and techniques designed for cave rescues. They initially attempted to leverage John out of the fissure, but friction on the ropes hindered their efforts. After several unsuccessful tries, they decided to implement a more sophisticated rope and pulley system. This complex apparatus was carefully maneuvered through the twisting passages, offering hope for a successful extraction. Anticipation built as the rescuers prepared to put their new strategy into action. The cave fell silent save for the echoes of equipment being positioned and hushed instructions passed between team members. Everyone held their breath as they initiated the extraction process, hoping this would be the moment John would finally be freed. But despite their meticulous planning and expertise, the rescue attempt faced a devastating setback. The rope and pulley system, strained under the immense pressure, suddenly failed. In a heart-stopping moment, John was plunged back into the narrow fissure, erasing hours of painstaking progress. This setback revealed the harsh reality of why rescuers couldn't free John despite their relentless efforts. The combination of his awkward position, the extremely confined space, and the physical limitations of both John and his rescuers created a nearly impossible situation. Each failed attempt not only dashed hopes but also further compromised John's deteriorating condition. As the rescue operation approached its 19th hour, the situation grew increasingly desperate. John's legs were now in excruciating pain, and rescuers found themselves contemplating drastic measures. The unthinkable option of breaking John's legs to facilitate his extraction was discussed, a testament to the dire circumstances and the rapidly closing window for a successful rescue. With conventional methods exhausted and time running out, the rescue team faced the grim realization that they needed to explore more extreme options. The urgency of the situation escalated, pushing everyone involved to their physical and emotional limits as they raced against the unforgiving clock. 24 hours had passed since John became trapped. With each tick of the clock, his chances of survival diminished. Yet amidst the darkness, a flicker of progress emerged. Would this be the breakthrough they needed, or were they about to face their most crushing setback yet? As John's condition deteriorated, the rescue team redoubled their efforts. They carefully maneuvered a complex pulley system through the twisting passages of Nutty Putty Cave. The installation was painstaking work, requiring precision in the confined space. Rescuers communicated in hushed tones, their voices echoing off the damp cave walls as they positioned the equipment. With the system in place, a wave of cautious optimism spread through the team. They began the delicate process of trying to extract John from the narrow fissure. Inch by agonizing inch, they made progress. For a brief moment, it seemed as though their perseverance might pay off. But the cave had one final, cruel twist in store. Without warning, a rope holding the pulley system snapped. The sudden failure sent shockwaves through the rescue operation. A rescuer was injured in the process, adding to the mounting challenges. More devastatingly, John slipped back into the crevice, erasing hours of hard-won progress in an instant. The emotional toll on everyone involved was immense. Rescuers, who had poured their hearts and souls into the operation, felt a crushing sense of defeat. John's family, who had been clinging to hope, now faced the grim reality of the situation. Through the wired communication system, John's wife Emily continued to offer words of encouragement, her voice breaking as she expressed her love and belief in his rescue. As the hours stretched on, the medical realities of John's situation became increasingly dire. Being trapped upside down for such an extended period put immense strain on his body. Fluid buildup in his lungs made breathing difficult, while the lack of circulation to his lower body caused severe pain and tissue damage. After 19 hours, rescuers reported that John's legs had turned completely blue, with no discernible pulse. The rescue team found themselves in an impossible situation. They knew that time was running out, yet every attempt to free John had been met with failure. The narrow confines of the cave passage limited their options, and the risk of further injury to John or the rescuers themselves loomed large with each new strategy they considered. In a final, desperate push, the team worked tirelessly to devise one last plan. The cave echoed with the sounds of their efforts, the scrape of equipment, the murmur of hushed conversations, and the occasional grunt of exertion. But despite their unwavering determination, the unforgiving nature of Nutty Putty Cave proved too much to overcome. Tragically, after nearly 28 hours of being trapped, John Edward Jones was pronounced dead at 11:56 a.m. on November 25, 2009. The rescue operation, which had begun with such hope and determination, had come to a heartbreaking end. As the news spread, a somber silence fell over the cave and the surrounding area. The rescue team, John's family, and onlookers were left to grapple with the devastating outcome. In the wake of this tragedy, difficult decisions loomed about the future of Nutty Putty Cave and how to honor John's memory. In the aftermath of tragedy, a single question echoed through the caving community. Should Nutty Putty Cave be sealed forever, or could it still serve a purpose? The answer would challenge everything we thought we knew about risk and remembrance.